Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you are doing great. Hope that all is pleasant with you. And most importantly, my friends, I hope that you are in good health. Once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, we get to talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we discuss here on the Common Sense channel. So once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. Today's topic for this video, I want to focus on life, but in connection to the family. I know for those of you that have been watching my videos, you know that I emphasize a lot on the family. The reason for this is because in any society, in any nation, in any community, any social fabric of this world, family, my friends, are the bedrock of that society, that community, that state, that nation, and ultimately the whole entire world. Without family, when I talk of family, I'm talking about life. I'm talking about the essence of life. And whatever comes out of that family is the reflection. Again, whatever comes out of that family is the reflection of that community, is the reflection of that society, is the reflection of the culture of that community, is the reflection of the religious belief of that community, is the reflection of the traditional and the cultural and the custom, the ethics, the morality, whatever it is that you want to attribute that society to. Family, my friends, are the bedrock, or is the bedrock of any society. So today we're going to spend some time talking about our family as far as life, society, community, the world at large is concerned. I like to do this because, like, sometimes, like I told you on here on the Common Sense channel, I encourage people to think, look, the way the world is given to you, you must never be pleased with it. Never. Your job on earth is to think. All humans are born to think. If you don't think, the world will never change. Your life, my friends, will never change. And even those around you, this is why Yeshua HaMashiach said this, the great one, the great teacher. And I think the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also emphasized on this. I'm gonna use religion on this video if you don't mind, because sometimes you have to look at the mindset of humans. Because since humans are God and they have the direct connection to the Almighty, which is the internal spirit, the all-foreseeing ones, the one that oversees all of the spirit of this world. And not only that, the Almighty, the higher power, says all of the prophet that this spirit that I'm talking about now, guess what? Lives nowhere but inside of you. How do I know? How in the book of Genesis, in the book of the beginning book, I want to throw your mind to this so you can reason with why I say this. Where was the Almighty when all of the creation was occurring, that's the first thing you need to think about. And let me tell you, my friends, whatever the Almighty was doing all of the creation, including the creation of man, according to that book, the beginning book, is the same place, the same very location that the Almighty still is. And that place, my friends, according to Yeshua HaMashiach, who explicitly tell us, aka Jesus Christ, that the Almighty lives in you. That you, my friend, or friends, are the vessel, the temple, as he puts it, of the Almighty. So you are the vessel that carries the Almighty. So imagine if you are the house, or your body is housing the Almighty, and you're walking around this place and acting a fool and walking around this place using your body however you want to use it, putting whatever things that you want to put in it that are defying your body, think, because you're carrying the Almighty. If you really, really, honestly believe in the teachings of Yeshua HaMashiach, aka Jesus Christ, then you must accept what he's saying or what he was saying, because it's still echoing in our hearts and our minds today. We know that we have some resembling of the Almighty in us. We can see it. And that's what I'm going to be talking about to you today. The role of the family as far as life is concerned. That's what I'm going to be talking to you. Because whatever you do with the family, set the stage, the journey of what the children would be. There's no excuse. So whatever you do as a family, what is a family? In our world today, there are many forms of families. But let's say for the discussion of this video, there will be a man and a woman. It can be anything else. But just for educational purposes and for the sake of my video, I would say a man and a woman. You understand? So let's talk about family and life. As I've already stated, whatever comes out of that family, or whatever comes out of your family, is the bedrock, is the foundation of a society. It reflects what that society will be. It reflects what the culture of that society would be. It reflects who will carry on the tradition, the custom, and the culture, especially the culture of that family. This is exclusive from religion. Because as I've said in one of my videos, especially the one I talk about culture, culture is the main bedrock of any society. Culture is part of the family, because within culture you can find tradition, which is spirituality. You can find custom. You can find values. You can find ethics. You can find morality. All of these things are the inner making of culture. So even if you don't have religion, you still have culture, which is also religion. Religion, the main essence of religion is based on your region. The environment to which you're from determines your culture, your religion. And your religion is also embedded in your culture based on tradition. And tradition has all the values that are indicative of religion. So even if you don't have organized religion, that's why I say on a common sense that religion is organized and it's also part of culture. Religion can never exist without culture, but culture can exist without religion. Because I know this, some there are places on this planet, there are culture on this planet that do not adhere to no religious values or beliefs, but they adhere to their culture and they practice their cultural principles, their cultural values, their cultural beliefs, their cultural ethics, their cultural morality, and everything. But religion, when I say religion again, I'm talking about organized religion, because all of us are innately born with religion. We're born with spirituality, and spirituality is religion. You're looking from the outside of you, trying to figure out something beyond your understanding. That's religion. And you don't need to do that because it is you. Your spirituality, and spirituality is you. So you don't need to go looking outside for it. Like I told you, the Almighty lives in you. You're the vessel. So let's talk about this thing called family. I'm big with this because I believe if you can structure the family, if you can emphasize and promote family values in any society, you, my friends, have finally solved most of our societal problems, because whatever comes out of the family is representation, is a direct representation of the society. So what do I mean? So I'm going to give you some example. In the Quran, it emphasizes a lot, especially Quran 30 to 21. If you're a Muslim, you can look at that. Quran 30 to 21 talks about, that would be verse 30 or chapter 30 to whatever surah, I think surah, that's what it's called, 30 to 21. The Quran emphasizes a lot on parents' responsibility, because I want to talk about the children. Parents' responsibility to the children. What does that mean? Parent responsibility to the children. You are to bring them up according to the Quran now, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. You have to focus on these things. The emotional inner making, you have to work on those. You have to teach them these things. All human being, again, comes into this world as a blank slate. We come into this world as a blank slate. Not that we don't know who we are, but in terms of our biology. Because if you look at the human beings, the two aspects of the human beings is the biology and it's the spirituality. The biology and the spirituality. So the biology requires you to focus on emotion, physicality, and spirituality. Got to focus on these things. So the Quran says that you, family, that would be whatever you want to call it, the husband and the wife, must make sure that the children are getting these things, bringing them up in a way that they understand who is responsible for the essence, which is the Almighty. I don't say God on my channel because I believe humans are God to humans. And until we understand this, we will never learn to treat each other that way. Because my argument is, once you understand that you are God, then it's easier for you to treat your fellow human being as that, because you have reverence for God, right? You have respect for God, an entity you have not seen, but you have reverence for it. I would say it. So once you can come to that realization, then you start to treat others the same. You understand? So the family, according to the Quran, must do those things. On the children, focus on their spiritual aspect, focus on their emotional aspect, and focus on their physical aspect. Make sure that they have food to eat, make sure that they have place to sleep, make sure that they have clothes to wear, and make sure that their mindset is in the right place or are in the right place. That's what the family is supposed to do. That responsibility is immense. That responsibility is immense because the dad is in my view, is the guide. Next to the Almighty is the Father. Next to the Almighty is the Mother, because these two individuals are the representation of the Almighty on earth. They are supposed to bring the children up in the right way. And if you look at the Christian emphasis on family, it's the same thing as the Quran. Promoting respect for the elders is in the book of Ephesians. I think Ephesians 6. I think Ephesians, let me see, I think I wrote it down here. You'll find that in Genesis chapter 2, 24, and you'll find that in Matthew 19, I think 4 to 6. And I think the book of Ephesians 6, 4 too, emphasize the role of the family and the role of the children. The same as Islam to talk about what the children are supposed to do as far as their family is concerned. And not only this, my friends, you will also find this in Hindu. You will find this in Buddhism too. The same element, except in Buddhism it's more about the elder, you know. And I think when they talk of the elder, they're talking about the elder, which is the father, you know, of that community, playing that role of the guide, the pathfinder. That's what the father is. He's the pathfinder for the family. His role is to instill discipline. His role is to instill cultural values. His role is to instill morality. His role is to instill in the children ethics. His role is to instill in the children principles. And all of these things, my friends, can be found in the culture of any society across the globe. The role of the father. So if you really, this is for a case study, or if you want to do like experiment, all of these roles, not including the role of the mother, because the role of the mother is more of a supporting role. So that would mean whatever the dad says is final as far as disciplining of the children, as far as instilling morality, cultural values. I'm going to say cultural values because it's very important than religion. Religion derives from culture. Let no one tell you religion falls from the sky. No. Even Yeshua HaMashiach emphasized that too. You understand? The Apostle Paul emphasize that too. That's why he talks about that family in the book of Ephesians 6:4. Those are all Paul's writing. Paul's talked about family. And then culture is there too. And Buddhism, Hinduism, most of these major religions out there, they emphasize the role of the father and the family in the community, in the society, in the nation, in the country. And notwithstanding the emphasis of culture. You understand? So the role of the dad is to instill all of these things. So my point is, if you don't find any of these things, if you find a society that has no morality, if you find a society that's breaking down in terms of ethics, in terms of morals, in terms of values, in terms of principles, that means the fathers of that society has let down their families. I'm doing this for you, fathers, you. And I do family because I know when you look at society today, people going out doing some crazy stuff, people killing others. There's no rules, there's no principle, there's no ethics, there's no values, there's no culture. No, I'm not going to say there's no culture, because even evil is a culture. Even good is a culture. Why is that? Because all of these things comes from the home. And the home cannot extrapolate itself from culture. Culture is part of the family, and family is part of the culture. So when the father of a home, a family, because the home is the family, let down that family, that's what you would see, the breakdown of that society. That's the end product, the outcome. So how can a father let down a family? A father is supposed to teach his son or his daughter ethics. I tell you this, the success of a man is not how much car he has. It's not how much houses or how much wealth he has. And I'll tell you the reason why for this. This is cool. The success of a father, don't forget the mother. She's very essential in all of this too. Although people don't look at her, because when you look at society, you have to look at the man. That's why when society is breakdown in any culture, you always attribute the fault to the father. The success of a man is not none of the things that I mentioned. Not how much money he has, how much car, how much wealth he has, whatever he has, material things. The success of a man from the Common Sense channel, and I think most people know this because you can see it, is how well his children comes up to be. And that's why I personally think the best you can give your children is discipline, ethics, moral, all of these values. Once you do that, and then you give them proper, not good education, proper education, you understand? Something that they can use wherever they go in this world and be successful. And if they come out to be successful because they listen, again, that's what Ephesians said, children should honor their parents. Islam talks about honor. Hindu talks about obey, honor. All of these major religion talks about this stuff. Family. But yeah, if the father is able to do what he needs to do, bringing up the children, based on his or her culture, his cultural values, and based on the cultural values and principles of his wife or significant others or other. Then when those children become successful, their success is always going to be attributed to what he has done. And now, if should he leave this world, he can leave this world a happy man. He has accomplished his mission, his goal that the Almighty has put him in charge to do. You understand? So, for example, when you look at business, let's look at business. There are a lot of wealthy people in this world, but most of these wealthy people do not have children that would continue the legacy. One reason is when they had these children, they did not teach them elements of the wealth that they built on this planet. So if you have children, don't just teach them to live. Even simple thing as telling a child to clean their room on regular basis, that's a lesson that a child can take into life. Understand? Telling them to wash the dishes, that's a lesson a child can take into life. Telling them to respect and honor not just what they are doing in the home, but to take it out into the world. That's a lesson a child can learn. And all of these, my friends, can come from the dad. The mom can do it, but that's not her role. Her role is to support whatever decision that the husband or the dad has made. So when the dad says something, when the dad said no, the mom should say no. If the dad says you cannot be on the phone after 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, the cellular phone, the mom role is to reinforce that. When the child sees that the mom is aligning with the dad and enforcing whatever decision he's making concerning that family, the child knows that they cannot align nowhere. They know that whatever the dad has said is firm. You understand? So let's talk about business. So if you're wealthy, you're rich, and you have gotten your wealth passed down to you from generation to generation, just like the farm. That's why I respect children who continue that legacy. Their great great granddad or great great grandmom passed down this property, this inheritance to them, and they continue that into generation. That's a lesson learned right there. And they won't give up. So it's the same as business. The reason why most businesses fail, and you see that in some culture. Now talk about the Chinese too, as far as this is concerned. Business control and keeping the business in the family is the same as keeping your family intact. If you can keep your family intact, you can keep your business intact from one generation to another. So what does that mean? Whatever lesson you have learned as a father from your own dad, because whatever your dad had passed down to you had been passed down to him from his own dad and his own mom. So you can go back to maybe 5, 6, 7 generation of this same wealth being passed down. So if you are not able as a father to pass that down to your children, you, my friend, have failed the generation before you. How can you do that if you don't teach them discipline, getting up, especially getting up to get up early in the morning to go to school? A child needs to learn that stuff. If they have to be at school at 7:30, you got to teach them to get up early before 7:30. You got to enforce that so they know. Why do you want to emphasize on time? Because once they grow older, they have to deal with time. They'll have to, if they're not working for the system, or if they're working for themselves, that means they'll have to be at work at their business on time, because the world expects them to be there to serve them on time. So teaching the child to get up on time, teaching the child time, that's one of the lessons a dad is supposed to enforce. Teaching the child that family inheritance is the number one priority. Showing them the way. That's why I say, if you are a carpenter, if you are a plumber, if you are a trade person, say you specialize in certain things, and you're a man or woman, I'm not saying all of your children will want to be that, but at least find one. Find one. Say you have 5 kids. Not all of them want to be in the same thing, but you find one of them. The Almighty has designed one of your children to take a liking in the same attributes that you have. And let me tell you, again, if you're smart parents, you would know from the time the child start to grow up, from maybe the time they're 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, then you start to see some of your attributes in the child. You'll see them if you're paying attention, if you really not all family pay attention. But if a father is in the home, my thing is I'm big with the father being in the home. If the father is in the home, as he should be, if the father is in the home, he would know all of the characteristics of all of his children. He would know. And it is at that point that you, as a father, grab that child and start to nurture them. Not all of them are going to want to do what you're doing. Say you're a business-oriented person. Not all of your children want to go there, but they all have their own thing, their own skills and talent. And if you notice that they have different things, there are those that just inquisitive, want to know about things, push them towards that. If you know that there one of your child that likes the environment, they want to know about, they're curious about animals and the nature and things outside of themselves, push them to that. That's why the family is very important, because if the family is intact together, as is all of this religion, I think Buddhism and Hinduism, they are big with the family being together. In the teachings, it's emphasized in the teachings. Except Buddhists kind of say you should pay more attention to like things outside of the family, others, the caring for others, but it's still emphasized on family. But again, if you notice your children have these attributes, help push them. You'll notice maybe one of your child, they're physically, their capacity is in sports. They're just physically involved. Their body is designed in a certain way. Push them towards that. Again, these right here are the roles of the father. The mother is not gonna say nothing. Her role is to support you. This is natural. It is natural for the woman to support a man. I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with love. It's just her role to support you. But in order for her to do that, I don't like forgetting a woman, because for me, women are big on my platform. I honor them because I know who they are. I know the importance of a woman. I know. In this whole scheme of things, you, my friend, must never exclude her. She's very important. Don't listen to those people who think the women should be in the back road. Islam doesn't even teach that. I'm going to say that for Islam here. And that's why on my channel, I do my best to respect all religion. Because I know religion is part of custom. It's part of culture. No, not custom, culture. Religion is culture. Culture can live without religion. But let's say for this video, religion, and others video in the past, I've said this. Religion is culture. Religion is the extraction of culture and not culture. Culture can exist without religion. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this to say to you that even if your society don't have religion, if your society just have culture, they can still be good. They can still do the right thing. So the woman is very important. So she will support you with any decision you make. The only time she wouldn't support you is when she notices that you're not leading right. That's why you don't leave all the burden to her. Her role is not to play the role of the dad. But if she has to, because she is as powerful, she would do it. I don't know if she's going to do it right, but I've seen women that done it. I'm the proud of one. You understand? That done it and be successful. I would never be who I am today if it wasn't for a strong mother that would look at me like, all she needs to do is just give me this look, bro. And I straighten up like a new recruit. You understand? She didn't really need to say much. Just a look. You know what she's talking about. When stranger came around, when I was a little boy, I knew that it's time to bounce. Without her even saying, go outside. Excuse me. I knew. So, but that's not her role. Her role is to support whatever decision the husband or the man of that home has taken and support him throughout until he fails to lead. Let me tell you, no woman wants to be with a man that doesn't lead. Yeah, she'd be watching you. Why? Because you are the pathfinder. The man now is the pathfinder. So if you notice all of these attributes and characteristics of your children, and you promote them into that direction, and they become successful. Because like I said initially, when children are born, they are born a blank slate. Just like when someone dies, when someone passes away, they are blank. They don't understand anything about self. That aspect of them is gone. You understand? It's the same thing when a human being comes into this world. So whatever direction you want your child to go, I'm saying you, with the guide of the Almighty, which is already in you, teaching you and pushing you as a man. Because again, a man and a woman, or the family, is the representation of the Almighty on earth. We are the representation of the Almighty on earth. I don't need to go too much into this because you already know my views. So whatever direction You push those children, whatever you teach them, whatever thing you teach them, if you teach them to respect, love, and honor others, if you teach them to be kind to others while they are in the beginning stage of their life, or in, I would say, in the spirituality stage of their life, because the beginning of any human being is the beginning of the spiritual journey into life. The beginning of your life is the beginning of your spiritual journey into life. I will get to the reason why I say this. So if you teach them to honor, respect, cherish, be kind to others, regardless of their race, ethnicity, cultural values, gender, beliefs, whatever is it, if you teach your children that in the eyes of themselves and your family, that they should view others with respect, that's exactly what they're going to do. But on the contrary, if you teach your children that they are better than other people, that other people are nothing but trash to them, if you teach your children not to respect, and how do you teach them? Based on the things that are happening in your home. You understand? When people come to ask you for something, the way you behave to them, the way you talk to others, even in their presence or on the phone, the way you react to people, behavior towards you, they're seeing it. And these kids, even though maybe they may be 5, 6, 7 years old, but they're learning from whatever it is that you do. So if you're not kind to others, you're condescending to others, and you don't try to explain to them why you're behaving that way, they're just going to feel like it's okay. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And guess what? Before they even try to exhibit these things or do some of these things outside of the home, they're going to start to show it to you. You're going to start getting some of the taste of some of the things that you failed to teach them. You start to see it in your home. That's the reason why you see a child takes a gun and shoots the mom and the dad. Because whatever is it you fail to teach them, the behavior, the way you behave to others, the way you treat other people out there, the way you talk, you don't know when to be loud or when to be moderate, you just like that. Bossy. You're not supposed to be bossy to your kids either. You're supposed to respect them. Not respect them as saying they're your boss, but you're supposed to show them a level of respect. When they talk, listen and give them guide. You understand? When they want to do something, you support. Just like your wife supports you, the woman supports you, you also must support the children. That's your role, to guide them in the right direction. If they want to do something, even if you disagree with it, but just talk to them in a moderate way. I mean, you're weak. It means that you're playing your role as a guide. Now, when you don't do these things, the child becomes rebellious. It's because of you. You failed them. Now, the woman, if she's alone, she can't do that all by herself. Even though when I was growing up, I had other people around me, but yeah, the key of everything that I am came from this beautiful woman. You know, not everyone is fortunate to grow up in a home where you have the dad and mom, and that's the saddest thing. you know. And I'm not even going to just say you'll find that in this country, but even places where they emphasize the importance of family or family values or promoting family, you're still going to find situation where the woman is left alone to raise all of these kids, which I think is wrong because it's so much burden on her alone. Like her role is to support. And that shows that the dad has let down his family. Normally we wouldn't know why all of these things happen. Maybe there could be disagreement, or maybe the woman has issues, but most of the time it's both of them, because it takes two people to bring a life into this world. And the essence of my video is take these two people to create and design and mold a human being that would be members of the society, that would be a productive member of the society, that would be a good member of a society, and that would promote the legacy of a man. I think that alone makes a man a success. When you can bring up your children in a way that they embodies all of the things that you want to see in them, my friend, you have accomplished your goal that the Almighty had bestowed upon you when you came into this world. But if you are not able to continue from where your ancestor had left you, that means you, my friend, have failed that entire generation from where you came from, because they did not fail you. When I say they, I'm talking about your mom and your dad. I'm talking about your great grandma, your great grandpa. That's what I'm talking about. Your grandma and your grandpa, their own parents did not fail them. Or maybe they failed them. So that's the outcome that you are seeing. But if they did not fail them, your great grandma and great grandpa, they didn't fail your grandpa and your grandmom, then your job is not to fail your own grandma. No, I'm sorry. It's not to fail your mom, your mom and your dad. Talking about the children now. Because that's how the family continues. So you see, there's some family in this world, the entire generation is just useless. Nothing good ever comes out of that family. All of them are either in prison or in jail or on drugs or prostituting or pimping or just criminal. Nothing good. And if you can study that family, you will see along the line of their generation, someone must have failed the family. It's the family started okay. So maybe say 7, 10 generation or 20 generation back. Somewhere along the line of that family, learn something must have happened, and it just triggered down to where it is today. And that's why you can fix that. How do you fix that? In this day and age in our society, is to emphasize, promote family values, help the mom and the dad to stay together. If you have to incentivize the family, do that so that they keep it going. But if your intention are not to keep the family in place, then you're not going to have a family that's going to prioritize values, culture, and ethics. Instead, it's going to be the breakdown of society. My thing is, when you see the breakdown of society, as I did in the video on culture, don't blame religion. I mean, you can blame them if you want to. If they're the one that failed you, you can blame them. But I say focus on the culture of that society, the culture of that community. Focus on it because that's what the problem is. Religion is just something to affiliate yourself with, somewhere you can go and discuss the Almighty. But I say if all of these people can read the scripture, they'll see. All of the prophet told them that the Almighty is in them. They don't need to go looking for it. The Almighty is you. You are the Almighty. God is you, and you are God. You know? The reason is simple. And when I say God is you and you are God, I'm talking about the Spirit is in you. So if someone lives in you, if a spirit lives in you, then what does that make the spirit? You, right? It's a common sense channel. I'm not trying to make anything complicated over here. I'm not like one of these theologians trying to explain something that they're using all these big terms and stuff like that. That's not what I do here, man. I make it simple. Because we're in as much as humans are complex, we're also simplicit. Yeah, you don't need to make things difficult. You cannot study the Almighty. No one can study the Almighty. When anyone tell you that they study the Almighty, understand the Almighty, that's a scammer. It's a scam. You understand? I'm going to blatantly tell you that because I know you cannot study the Almighty because the Almighty is you. So let's promote family values, man. I am big with family. I think all of the problems we're seeing in our world today, they spun from family, the breakdown of a family. And this is not just in America. You find that everywhere in the world. Wherever in the world you see issues of any societies in those places, you know, whether it come to the drug pandemic, prostitution, incest, you know, lack of morality, lack of ethics, being disrespectful towards others, you know, not listening to authority, you know. Authority is a great thing too because I like to when you talk of authority, the essence of authority starts in the home. So if a child does not respect anything outside of that home, if the child does not have respect for authority in the home, why do you think the child is going to respect authority outside? So you see the point I'm trying to make. Everything. That's why I say the spiritual journey of any human being starts in the home. And now here's the thing, and this is the saddest part of this. If the father and the mom, the home does not take care of the emotional, spiritual, and the physical needs of the child, while they are nurturing and growing up and becoming this human species that would one day impact society, those children turn out to be angry all the time. They turn out to they'll blame you, of course. If they're being honest to themselves, they'll blame you. And I think they're supposed to blame you because at some point, I'm talking about the dad, they're supposed to blame you because at some point you should have put your foot down. There are a lot of rich people with kids. They don't never tell the kids what they're doing is wrong. They never put their foot down. They never allow their kids to be disciplined. They never show them that life is centered on time and dedication and ethics and moral and morality. And now when they about to die with all the wealth and they leave them to these kids, guess what? The kids, they didn't even understand the value of time. The kids, they don't understand how to manage nothing. The kids doesn't understand how to control the any aspect, even though they may have education, but those basic things that they should have learned in the home, they don't have those skills. So whatever you give them, they're gonna just waste it. That's why if you look at the Chinese culture, I don't care if the child is going to school to become a lawyer or doctor. Whatever is it that child is doing, when that child comes from school, I think most of the Southeast Asian countries, that's what they're big with that stuff. They'll come to the family business. They'll be there either they're helping in the kitchen, they're doing the cashier, they're doing other things within that business, even though they're working to become a physicist, a psychologist, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever they're doing. But they have to come into that business establishment to see what the mom and dad are doing, to learn from that. It's a lesson. Just like the home, you teach the children so that when you are no longer, because now all of us are not going to be here forever. So whatever you teach the children, that's what they continue. So back to my point, if you don't teach the children those things, dad, you I'm talking to, because two people have to bring a life into this world, and you're part of them. If you're not there to teach the children morality, ethics, principles, respect, discipline, they are right when they blame you on the age when you're gone, or even when you're here too. They have a right to blame you because it's your responsibility. It's the woman's responsibility, but it's not partly her responsibility because she's just there for support, because you've let down your family. So they have all right to blame you. My own thing, the only issue I have is if you find yourself regretting because your mom and your dad, for some reason, they were not there to give you the structural values and principles that you need to carry on in life. Because even a child that doesn't learn how to be a father, to be a husband, because they didn't see that between the mom and the dad, they didn't experience it, it's going to be hard for them to really even be in a home with a woman and to even continue a family, or what they're not going to be able to handle what it means to be a dad in a home, the role that you must play. How do you blame them if they cannot even keep a relationship? And they're angry. Now they're willing to take it out on someone, or the same very society that they grew up in, that did nothing to them, but because their home was not stable. They didn't raise up in a home where the dad emphasized and showed them the way. Guide. In fact, the dad is the guide, show them the way. Now they're obsessed. They're upset, and they're out there. And that's why I think our society needs to come back to family values. So that way, if you notice that, because you can have a neighbor right next door that can be a role model to a child that the child wouldn't even see in their home, but they see it right across the street. They go to their friend's house, and they see the dad doing the things that their own dad are not doing, or their mom are not doing. They can learn. There are kids that will learn from that. When I was a little boy, an old man said a little boy was walking down the street one day. He was an orphan. He didn't have a mom or dad. But he was walking down the street one day, and he heard voices coming from a house on the street side. And then the dad was talking, teaching his child how to be disciplined, how to be obedient, how to honor. Teaching the child life experiences and those things that will go a long way with you in the journey of life. And that child took it, even though that wasn't his dad. But he took that lesson and continued with that throughout his life. You understand? So what the old man was talking was, sometimes you don't really learn even if you don't have an ideal family that would teach you these things, but you can also learn from your neighbor, or your friend's dad, or your friends, or your uncle, or your auntie that are within the family. You can learn from them. You can find one of them if you don't have that kind of support from your mom and your dad. You can learn from these people and be better too. Or you can learn from someone in a teacher. Teacher often good with this stuff. That's why I respect teacher. Yeah. They're the ones that they often sideline and stuff like that. But they blame all of societal problem on them when the main problem is the home, is the family. Because whatever that family let out, you know, that's what the teacher is gonna have to deal with. But if the teacher is catching hell from your unruly child, and you are nowhere to show up to say to support them, you see, so how do you expect them? They're just gonna let them be. And the system is there to let them be because the system already know where they're heading. So a dad can break that. A dad can say, "You're not heading over there." You see, when I do this video, sometimes I don't intend for them to go like to be too long. But then it's just when you're talking about these things, it's just so passionate. Like you'd be like, why can't people see them? Why can't people do them? Because they're simple. You can solve most of society problem or societal problem by just structuring the family, just going back to being family again. You can structure and solve most of society problem, you know. So the teachers are not left to deal with some of these things that come from these homes. They know. They know. These teachers know. They know when they look at the child because they spend maybe 8 to 9 hours of the time in school. So imagine a child or an unruly child in the classrooms with that teacher for 8 to 9 hours. And that teacher has to put up with that. They see, they know they're like, this right here, I know where this is heading. But if the mom and the dad or the dad is involved, because I know there's single dad out there that are just incredible. I know there are single moms out there that are incredible. If they're engaging in these schools with their kids, I tell you, even the teacher's gonna like the kid. Because when the kids behave rude, if the kids is well disciplined, they won't behave rude in school. And school is a society. So yeah, I don't want this video to be too long, but the the point here is family values, man. Like the role of the dad is very important, man. The role of the dad, and I wish that more and more men can see this and I think the ancestor will get them there to teach them. The ancestors live in you. They teach you come back to the family, come back to family. I think religious houses at some point should have a Sunday. I know that some, and even in the mosques too, they should start to teach this, like teach um, family value, the role of a man. Form a group, form something in the church where you just talk about these things as men. But in our society today, we don't even have time to even meet or even get to know each other, as men. That way we can talk about things. There are single men out there that are just incredible in terms of their beliefs and values as far as family is concerned. This individual can be very important too in a meeting where you just talk about being a dad. Some of the challenges, some of the things, because if you think you know everything, you're wrong. There are people that know a bit of everything that you may not know and you can learn from them as far as the home is concerned. But at the end of the day, whatever comes out of the home is the direct result of the failure of the father. Yes. And if he's not in the home, which is worse, then there's no way. Because I don't like when people blame single mom. No. Her role is to support, and it's not going to change. Her role is to support. Don't take that from her. She's only supporting the decisions that the man is making, husband, whatever the person is, significant others, partner, whatever you want to call that person. She is taking the direction. It doesn't mean she's subordinate or insubordinate. It just means that that's her role to support you in the journey of life. If you're someone that believes in marriage or believe in a relationship, some people like AI relationship because they don't want to deal with all the drama and stuff. But you're a human being, and humans have drama, so you have to deal with drama. But you can understand someone. Why do you even be in a relationship with a physical human being when you don't want to have drama? And when you go into a relationship with a woman, remember she coming from a different background. You're coming from a different background. But you met that person, you say you want to be with them. So you got to take the whole package. But I think it's all about, even I think Hindu or Buddhism focus on the family in that way, like loving each other and just being like a soulmate and just focusing on respecting each other, having boundaries based on respect, you know. Just when her voice is higher, yours should go a little bit lower. When your voice is higher, she should go a little bit lower. So it's also the support system because you're a human being, you're going to be faced with challenges, you're going to be faced with difficulties, and that's life. But how do you get through them and still maintain the home and the family? Because again, you don't want a kid seeing that stuff. They're gonna see these things, but explain to them why they happen too. Some family just they'll holler and fuss and conflicts. I think your Buddhist and Hindu talk about how to mitigate conflict, and I think Islam also specify on that too. Conflict in the family. I think it was in the Surah, how do you call it? Surah 49, I think 10. It's in Surah 49:10. How to mitigate conflict within the family, you know. So yes, tell the kid this is what's happening. You don't have to give them detail, but let them know when you argue, when stuff like that. Because if you don't explain that, they are gonna see that as normal. You know, even a fight, whatever happening at home, let them know. And I think if they know when they grow up, they're not gonna blame you. They're gonna it's a form of communication. Communicate to them. Just as how you communicate to your wife, learn to communicate with the kids. Because you don't want them in the future to treat you like trash. They won't have no business with you because they saw what you did to their mom. Or they won't have no business with you as a woman, as the mother, because they saw what you did to the dad. You understand? So again, the family is the bedrock of any society, community, nation, country, and state. I mean, all of them are the same, but I'm just saying it for educational purpose. Yeah, so let's promote family values. If we want our world to be better, let's promote family values and let's let the children learn our culture. And once our family are great, our family are doing good in terms of the lesson, the guide that we're giving the children in the home, then we're gonna have a culture of good people, elegant people, upright people, people who are willing to stand for equality, justice, unity, love, equity, all of the good things that make us human beings, that allow to respect and honor one another. You understand? So I just wanted to do this video on family. I think I've done other videos on family, but I mean, I'm not going to stop. So I'm going to probably say family value part 2 on this video as far as the title, because family again is the bedrock. I mean, I would say it any day, even if I wake up from sleep, I will continue to say that family is the key to our society, and let's promote family values. You know, even if organized religion is not doing that, you can do it too. Go back to your generation. Try to find play areas where you think they let where the problem started. Because all family starts good, but then along the line something must have happened in your generation that are the outcome of where you are today, and break that cycle. You understand? Whatever it is that you're going through in your family right now, you can solve them by looking at areas where your family had let you down. Don't commit suicide. It's not necessary. Don't be so depressed that you feel like ending it all. Life is precious, and always see it that way. In spite of everything you're going through, life is precious. That you are not alone. There are other people that are facing the same situation or going through the same situation that you're going through. So family is the bedrock, my friends, of any society. As I've always said in all of my videos, the greatest thing, my friends, that could ever happen to anyone, it's not the day you were born, not the day you had your first child, the day you graduated from high school, college, the day you became a lawyer, doctor, whatever it is that you're working on. The greatest thing, my friend, that could ever happen to you is the day you discover yourself. Because from that day on, everything, my friends, will start to make sense to you, including family, including bringing up your family, guiding your children so they can be better human beings in society. Because look, once all of your children are successful as a father, as a mother, then you can look back and you can say you've accomplished the mission that the Almighty has placed you on this earth. Imagine, they are going to continue your legacy, your family, into perpetuality. They are going to continue that legacy into eternity. That's what you need to think about. So whatever you produce on this earth, if you don't guide that and it becomes useless to society and it becomes worthless to society, you, my friends, have left this world in a great danger. So take care of the children, bring them up in the right way. Christianity talks about that in the book of Ephesians. And children, honor your parents, respect them. Why is that? Because guess what? You're going to have children. Whatever it is that you've done to your parents, that's exactly what yours are going to do to you. And you don't want that trend continuing. You don't want that to be the norm of your home. So honor your parents now. Respect them. Show them that you care about them. You understand? And then yours will do the same. Thank you, and I want to say special thanks to all of my subscribers, all those people that watch my videos. I love you. Hope you're learning. That's what I do here. And I hope that all of us are doing our best. So there are people out there that notice these things. If you notice a child is growing up in a home where they don't have parental guide, be that role model to them if you can. You know, encourage them, bring them under your wings, and guide them too. Because at the end of the day, you are helping make our world a better place. And I say my humble respect to all of those men that are doing just that out there, helping raise kids, be a role model to the community and the society, talking to children to help them, dissuade them from going in the wrong direction, which is what their dad and their mom should have done. But along the line, something must have happened that broke that bond, that those two should have kept going to keep those children in the right direction. So again, thank you, and I hope that you and your loved ones are in good health and are enjoying this beautiful world. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.